Food. The dictionary definition is any nourishing substance that is eaten, drunk, or otherwise taken into the body to sustain life, provide energy, promote growth, or etc. To many of us, that is how we would see food too. However, there is much deeper meaning to food. We've all been given the idea that foreigners coming to the U.S. are expected to assimilate into the American culture. The term melting pot comes to mind. However, other than assimilation, this cuisine actually tells another story. In this video, we will be focusing on Chinese food and how it, like many other cuisines from different API groups, challenges assimilation. Traditional foods and how it keeps tradition. Throughout history, China has had a growing population, and feeding said population was a huge issue. The Chinese developed their eating habits around a food scarcity mentality. Since meat was so scarce, dishes were made with little meat mixed with rice or noodles, which were readily available. Vegetables were added to this, and the method of stir-frying became the most prevalent way of cooking because it quickly cooked food and preserved fuel. Rice is China's staple food. The word for rice is fan, which also means meal. Rice may be served with any meal and is eaten several times a day. Scallions, bean sprouts, cabbage, and ginger root are other traditional ingredients. Soybean curd, called tofu, is an important source of protein for the Chinese. When meat was available, it was primarily chicken and pork. In traditional Chinese restaurants, the menus have vibrant, colorful pictures for each and every dish available. Each table only gets one menu, and the waiter stays at the table until everyone is ready to order. Traditional foods hold the cultural history and necessity for this type of cooking, and traditional-styled restaurants maintain the atmosphere familiar from the home country. History of chop suey, a beginning of westernization of tradition. Chop suey is a dish of stir-fried meat, eggs, and vegetables in a thick sauce served with rice. There are many different views on the beginning of chop suey. The one we will go into today is listed by the Library of Congress as the origins of the dish. The story begins on August 29, 1896 in New York City. The Chinese ambassador, Li Hongchang's cooks prepared food for his American guests that was supposed to be attuned to both the Chinese and American palate. Whether or not this tale is true, the ambassador did have a significant contribution to the popularization of chop suey, and thusly Chinese cooking in the United States. Americanized Chinese food. What's happened? American Chinese food is the result of Chinese workers in the 19th century adapting their food to American tastes with local ingredients. Meat dishes are emphasized, and vegetables are not as common, the opposite of a traditional Chinese diet. Most Chinese Americans' diets consist of chop suey, food representing several different regions of China, and entrees that are battered, deep-fried, and served in thick sauces. Ming Tsai, a Chinese celebrity chef known for fusion food, says that Chinese American cuisine is dumbed-down Chinese food, adapted to be blander, thicker, and sweeter for the American public. In an interview with Rick, the owner of China Walk, an Americanized Chinese fast food place, he responded to the following. Do you consider your food traditional Chinese food or Americanized Chinese food?
It's the American kind. It's very different. They add a lot of different flavors that the original Chinese food does not have, and it's not good for, Americans. This is the original Americanized Chinese food.
Would you say Americanized Chinese food has added to the culture or taken away from tradition?
It's hard to say. It's in between, taking from the original Chinese food and adding an American flavor. You can taste the difference. Not culturally different because it originates from Chinese food. It's just adding to it.
Our example shows that API food isn't assimilated into American society, but rather it's acculturated. The food has been changed to adapt to the American ingredients and palates of the people there. Another example of acculturation is fusion foods. Fusion foods are the perfect way to be able to combine cultures together. In such diverse locations such as big cities like Los Angeles, Miami, New York, San Francisco, and other places, this food consists of various cultural mixtures, and some would see this as a melting pot. However, it's not a blending of flavors. Rather, it's taking the flavors and adding it to something new, something greater, like a salad bowl. The combination of fusion foods has added to the diversity of the culture that we as Americans have today. It is why a lot of authentic foods are changing to a combination and substitution of such common ingredients from each culture. Conclusion. Food is one major aspect in the API community that stands against the melting pot theory. Food is the preservation of old cultural traditions and current ones. Traditional Chinese restaurants preserve the culture and food ingredients of the old country. Americanized Chinese food uses the ingredients available to them. This food shows the history and culture of the Chinese Americans. The presentation and portions of food have come to reflect the country that the people are at. Fusion food combines the cultures of various foods to create something different. Food is a resistance to assimilation. The ingredients, cooking style, and presentation all reflect life experiences and showcase the tastes of each culture and environment.